Does this sound familiar? You've got one device that lets you catch the game live, another that lets you stream your favorite shows, you're watching sports highlights on your phone, and you've got your neighbor's best friend's login for the good stuff. Well, I want to tell you about a simple way to get all that entertainment you love without the hassle, and a great way to finally get your TV together. It's called DirecTV Stream, and it brings you live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before, so you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. That means no more juggling remotes and no need to buy another device ever again. And the best part? There's no annual contract. So get rid of the clutter and the confusion and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directtv.com. That's directtv.com. Compatible device required. Content varies by package.
I'm working hard for respect in my city. I'm working hard for respect. Yeah. You think you got it, I got it for real. You think you got what I got? This one for those they forget in my city. This one for those they forget. Yeah. This dog off the leash and it's ready.
Yes, what's good, everybody, and welcome back to Veterans Minimum. I'm your host, Nick Deus. At Nick Deus 10 is where you can find me. I almost said the old username, Alan. But we had to switch it up a little bit, get a little bit more professional, you know?
Yeah, that's part of life as you get older.
Yeah.
You gotta
It's more so it's going to help in potentially getting the blue check.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done some research and been advised to change it up a bit. So that's where change.
The blue check has a lot of power. I remember talking to Luke Thomas about it. Luke Thomas like, you don't know how much of a difference it is to have that blue check. I'm like, all right, I guess verification's I could see why, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I've been verified before a blue check, so just want to keep that established. How you feeling, man? Haven't seen you in a while.
I'm sore as hell right now, but I'm genuinely happy about the state of football. I just thought last weekend, 1 o'clock slate was pretty rough, but that 4:25 just between Cardinals Vikings might be one of the most ridiculous games. I didn't watch the full game because I was the one game that was dull. I had to watch Falcons Bucks, but between that and then you had Seattle Tennessee, and then Chargers Cowboys was a little bit down, but still it was to last second. Like I haven't 3-4 o'clock games just really to the wire. And then the Sunday night game, seeing Lamar finally come back from adversity and beat the person he's never beat before, being Pat Mahomes in Kansas City. I just thought really strong. I know it was a dud Monday night to be expected. I think the highlight was Pat McAfee going to pay the Manning cast, excuse me, not to slander Eli. I think that was right. Yeah, the Manning cast. I was going to say the Peyton Manning show. I'm like, no, it's more the Manning cast, even though I do think Eli barely speaks. But I think football, things are moving really well. I'm excited just about. I know this slate's a little weak this week, but can't have it right every week.
Mm-hmm. So this is an interesting week. A lot of seasons are on the line. If you look at some of the numbers in the history of 0-2 teams, 2-0 teams, and the state of either side, either direction that you're going. So if you've listened to any other shows prior to this one, you've probably heard these numbers. But just to reiterate, since 1990, when the NFL expanded its playoff field to 12 teams from 10, 11.6% of those teams which lost their first two contests reached the playoffs. And only half that sample won the divisions. So this is something where if you fall to 0-3, essentially, it's quiet. Though we did see the Texans a couple of years ago start off 0-3.
I could see the Colts now currently, given the state of that division and their level of opponents. Because sometimes you got to look at the schedule.
Right.
Like we knew the Colts, besides the injuries, that their schedule was very daunting going into the season.
Mm-hmm. Now we have 7 0-2 teams. 2 of the teams us two are very familiar with.
Yes.
Also can almost guarantee that there'll be a winner this week. But it'd be poetic justice if they landed in a tie, right?
Based on the situational management of the Giants in that Washington game and just the late game collapse, it could happen.
Yeah, what a nightmare that was. I was watching that game out, and when you're bad, you just continue to find ways to lose games like that.
Bad teams will figure out a way.
Yeah. Okay, so these are the lists of the 0-2 teams. I want to discuss them and see which teams we think can turn it around. Mm-hmm. The 0-2 teams are Detroit, Minnesota, Atlanta, the Giants, which for like 5 straight years, the Giants are 0-2.
I didn't know they started out 0-2 in 2016, so they made the playoffs.
Yeah.
Despite that, wow.
Colts, Jaguars, Jets, and that's it. Those are our 0-2 teams. Alan, which one do you want to completely eliminate from the bunch and you think have no chance in hell, like Vince McMahon would say?
Jaguars, just a waste of time. Like, it's just bad. Like, you don't know what Urban Meyer's future is. Their defense can't stop anyone. You know, I like that Trevor's still trying to push the ball down the field, but there's just the infrastructure there is just non-existent. Like, it's just you watch it, and it's like they can't muster a bunch of a running game. I think Chenault's already banged up, and then defensively, it's just a bunch of guys there. Like, Shaquille Griffin was supposed to be coming as number one corner. He's been getting roasted. Like, it's just the fact that they haven't looked competitive all these first 2 weeks against pretty below average to average opponents is a very troubling sign. So Jacksonville, I didn't consider them at the start of the season. Definitely don't do it now.
Yeah, early July, I thought they checked a lot of the boxes of a team that was worst and had a chance to go to first. But then as it got closer to the season and then getting to see them, I'm like, yeah, that's just a super hot take to try to make yourself look cool. It was just a waste of time. Yeah. Just a lot of holes defensively, a lot of holes. I think Urban Meyer is in trouble. I wouldn't be surprised if he maybe steps away, pulls a Nick Saban.
I hope he doesn't pull Bob Petrino. I don't wish any fan base to deal with what Bob Petrino did back in 2007.
But just some of the comments that he makes, like he says, like, "Oh, every week you play Alabama." It's like, well, yeah, like now you're playing professional teams. You're not just
his press conferences. He doesn't really make eye contact. He looks at the ground a lot. He just seems like a suspicious character. I would not really want to play with him.
Yeah, and I feel bad for Trevor Lawrence too because it's just going to continue to be a rough season for him and that Jaguars team. Okay, the team that I'm going to completely check out is the Jets. I do not like what I'm seeing from Zach Wilson. I think some of those interceptions, yeah, I get it. It's Belichick. Yeah, I get it. It's a rookie against Bill Belichick. The track record is insane. But, dude, some of those intos were outrageously bad.
I would say all of them. I thought all 4 interceptions were on him.
Well, yeah, they said the one to Corey Davis, they hit off his fingers, and maybe you make a catch there, make a play to bail out your quarterback. I get it, but that was also like borderline triple coverage that you threw that into. But there were some that just looked like the DBs were fielding punts or warming up.
Punts, yeah.
Becton being hurt. Losing Carl Lawson before we can even see him, the big free agent acquisition, some injuries on the defensive side. Offensive line we knew was going to be bad, and then like I mentioned, Becton being out too.
I don't know what they're doing with the receivers. Crowder was inactive. Mims can't get on the field. Like, you got Brand Berrios out there. Like, I don't know what they're at. I'm still like, I watched that Jets-Patriots game. I'm very encouraged by defense. For a team that has no notable corners, like, they actually held it on. Granted, against a team that does not push the ball down the field like New England. But I do think there is promise there with the Jets. But as we said in August, it's going to be a 2-3 year project with them. So I hope Michael Carter gets more reps. I was really impressed with limited reps. Like he's got some burst to him. Like he was breaking tackles left and right. At some point, I don't know if he has the physique or body, however you want to phrase it, to handle that workload. But if they could somehow get 15 to 18 touches a game for him, I think that could make a difference.
Give me another team that you think you're not sold on from the 0-2 bunch.
Probably gotta be Falcons.
Yeah,
it's gotta be Falcons.
What is it?
If they played one good quarter, I hate that third quarter against Tampa Bay. There was some encouragement, but it just, as we said, like defense is just, there's just nobody there. Just a bunch of guys on 1-year contracts or rookies that are just way in over their head. Offense line's worse than advertised. Now, granted, they played against Philadelphia and Tampa Bay, Tampa Bay definitely has a fearsome D-line. I know Philly's a little older, but they got after him too. And it's just constant pressure there. And then I was really alarmed by some of Arthur Smith's decision-making, like going for a QB sneak on 4th and 2 with Matt Ryan against Tampa Bay. That made no sense. And then punting out 4th and 1 is just, there's no identity right now in Atlanta. Like the biggest highlight right now is Cordell Patterson, which I had a feeling was going to happen. And he's fun. I'm thoroughly enjoying that. But it is right now the Falcons don't have enough talent, and I'm not going to after 2 games questioned Arthur Smith, but he's got some work to do. They got to figure out ways to push the ball downfield and get Kyle Pitts more involved. I think Kyle Pitts has been too much of a situational player right now. They got to make sure he's on the field every snap if possible.
Yeah, I don't get it. Why they're not just, I don't want to say running him into the ground, but dude, make this guy play a bunch of snaps at least.
Right. There's a crazy stat. When he's on the field, they average like 5.4 yards per play, and when he's off the field, it's like 2.5. And like they haven't completed a pass more than 8 yards without him off the field. But then they have like 10 passes of more than 9-yard completions, or 26 plays of more than 9 or more yards with him. So like when he's on the field, they actually could somewhat move the ball. When he's off the field, you might as well be watching like Amgay Jets.
It's I've had some people hit me up and they're like, dude, I'm losing my mind over Calvin Ridley. Like, what is going on? Also, I saw this stat about the ADOT, average depth of target for Matt Ryan.
Protection's been that bad.
It's like 5.5, 5.6 yards. And usually the last couple of years has been close to 10 yards. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of very check downy shit.
Schedule is going to lighten up soon because think about like Tampa Bay with Todd Bowles. He's one of the more consistent blitzers. And like when you see an O-line that's so disjointed, it's like, okay, we're going to blitz at will, which Todd Bowles did. I feel like that game just got a hand. So give it a few weeks. I think it'll pick up. I'm not... Like, obviously, Matt Ryan's on a decline, but I don't think he's turning into like Chad Pennington or anything. I think that's the issue right now, really. I don't think it's on him. It's just more O-line's just not protecting anyone right now.
The one thing that worries me is were we expecting good from the offense?
Oh, they'd be efficient.
Right.
And look, against Tampa Bay, that second half, they were, or third quarter mainly, like they actually put up a fight. I was thoroughly surprised at what they did. It's just... The Philly game was a disaster, and that first half against Tampa Bay, they left a lot of opportunities on the table. So, it does fall on Arthur Smith, too. I just think a guy that he has a reputation for being so aggressive, couldn't make his mind up in a game against the Super Bowl champions. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Historical note, I found this really interesting when I was digging up some notes. Prior to last season, they were never 0-2 under Ryan. And... they finished 4-12, mm-hmm. And then the Falcons have flipped 2 of their 16 all-time 0-2 starts into playoff trips. So this is a team that has turned it around before, but I think the big issue is Matt Ryan might be toast.
I think his arm shot. That like he can't throw a ball downfield. At this point, I think he's just someone that could facilitate. He's someone that you just got to put a real supporting cast around him. Yeah.
Okay. The Giants. Before I go into it, what are the issues you think with the Giants?
They're really undisciplined for a team that preaches discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Like I thought Daniel Jones played arguably his best game ever against Washington. I thought Daniel was really good.
Yeah,
I thought he was putting the ball on money. That Slayton drop, and it's crazy. Like that throw to Slayton on I think it was 2 drives before the drop. Just beautiful, that rainbow over the top. I'd like his rapport with Shepard. Sterling Shepard, I always say Sterling Shepard, you put him with like a Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, whoever, maybe Aaron Rodgers, he's catching like 75, 80 passes.
Yeah.
And he's putting up like 1,100 yards.
I think
he's that good.
Yeah, I do feel as if he's a guy that's not going to be with the Giants after next season.
I hope not. I want him to go somewhere.
And he'll go somewhere else, and out of nowhere, he'll be like, if he goes to a team that already has a stud wide receiver opposite of him, mm-hmm. You'll be seeing, best duo in the league, mm-hmm. X guy with Shepard.
Just put him in the slot and let him work.
Yeah. And look, for as bad as Kenny Golladay has been since he's come over to the Giants, Shepard is benefiting from having a guy on the outside that the defense has to respect.
Exactly.
His best role was in the slot, always has been. That's why the Golden Tate shit didn't make sense. Because Evan Ingram also runs well out the slot. Historical note, Giants, since 2013, have started every season 0-2, with the exception being 2016. So 2016, they didn't start 0-2. But the Giants are just, last couple of years, just 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2015, 2014. It's just, I saw, shouts to Phil, put it in the Discord. It's like that Spider-Man gif.
The points.
And all the points. And it's like 0-2, 0-2, 0-2. It's like, oh my God, it's so bad. Look, I think the Giants have a nice matchup this week against Atlanta. Atlanta doesn't really have a dominant pass rush. That's when Daniel Jones does really well. And by week 3, this is make or break. I think Joe Judge, if they drop this game at home, and if they just come out flat once again, because that's the issue too, man. The Giants just come out flat. Like, no life, no spring, nothing. I can see this dude being on the hot seat. There's going to be a lot of... I could see the Giants completely cleaning house this year. No Gettleman, no Jones, no Judge.
Wow, total revamp after spending so much.
Why not?
I hope that clear out includes Jason
I mean,
Garrett.
dude, you know how many catches, how many yards Kadarius Toney has?
-2?
That's just like -2 yards.
Yeah.
They
got to figure a way to utilize him. You invest a first-round pick in him, which...
The team that we didn't mention, I think, is the team that is most likely to turn it around, and it's Minnesota.
I totally agree. And I was down Minnesota going into the season, but they could easily be 2-0 right now.
That's
at least 1-1. Like that Arizona game, I never seen a kicker make 2 50-yard field goals in a game and then miss a 37-yarder.
Yeah.
He hit a 52 and a 53-yarder, but like the Vikings are cursed. Like when it comes to kickers and game-winning kicks, the Vikings routinely just miss. It could be Blair Walsh, Greg Joseph now. Like, it's just poor Mike Sibber.
Yeah, that dude. I mean, between
Mike Sibber's he's gonna strangle someone at some point.
Yeah,
man. I hope he's got a good lawyer. Like
between like him and Kirk Cousins beef, apparently over the vaccination stuff, and then just like countless kickers just letting him down. And I think they lose that game in overtime to the Bengals week 1 on the road, and then Arizona, they should have beat Arizona on the road again. And close to 60% of the time against the spread, teams down 0-2 coming home for their first home game in week 3, they tend to do well. And this is a must-win. And look,
they got to play angry Seattle team.
They're going to play an angry Seattle.
That's a bad matchup for them.
Angry Seattle team. But is it a bad matchup for them?
It is a bad matchup.
Because Derrick Henry went wild, and I could see Dalvin Cook running wild too.
That Vikings defense looking old.
Yeah.
The decision to sign Patrick Pearson, Bashard Breeland. Breeland's looked awful so far, and Pearson hasn't looked much better. Considering the chemistry Russ and Lockett has right now, and DK's bound to explode at some point, and they're getting key contributions elsewhere. Like I could easily see it being a shootout. And look, Dalvin Cook's going to get busy, and I'm sure the Vikings are going to score points, but it could still points like, all right, at some point Kirk Cousins is going to do something that's going to cost them the game. Like, he's just too reckless with the ball. Like, Cousins could have multiple turnovers against Arizona. So, and I could just picture like Jamal Adams calling a blitz and just blindsiding
taking the ball from him like he did against Daniel Jones.
Something like that.
That's completely when I got checked out from Daniel Jones. Right? I think I've said that story before
just
too.
Me mugging him, but I think that's a bad matchup for him. But
well, one team we didn't really spend a lot of time on is Indianapolis.
I agree with you about Minnesota, though. I do think they're
the most likely. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wish their defense wasn't so old. Like, for a team that's kind of like in the middle of the road, they got too many old guys.
Yo, if you look at the teams that are 0-2, bro, they all got bad quarterback play.
We have not talked about we haven't spoke about Detroit yet. I feel like Detroit's like just a forgotten team. Like,
I mean, what is there to say about Detroit, right? Like, they had that crazy backdoor cover from a betting perspective against the Niners, but outside of that, they've just, once it started raining in that second half against Green Bay, it was quiet. Jared Goff became the Jared Goff of old, in which we would make fun of.
He's
and
morphing into Alex Smith. The amount of checkdowns, like, I watched the highlights, it's just like, and look, checking it out to DeAndre Swift's not the worst option in the world, but still, it's like at some point, it's like I want to see more from a quarterback, especially someone that's acclaimed as Goff.
Yes, NFL football is finally back, and there's no need to exhaust yourself searching all over the internet to find NFL tickets anymore, because TickPick, that's TickPick, is the original no-fee ticket site and the only one you'll ever need as your go-to for all NFL tickets. TickPick got rid of all those awful service fees that the other ticket sites charge, which lets them guarantee the best price on all of their NFL tickets. Don't believe it? If you can find better prices for the same seats on another ticket site, TickPick will give you 110% of the difference in the purchase price. I cannot wait to use TickPick to go to a game this year, and in particular, not a Giants game, because I'm done with them until proven otherwise. I'm not going to waste my money to just go be miserable for 3.5 hours and then sit in traffic in the Lincoln Tunnel on the way back. Thanks a lot, Dave Gettleman. But I plan on going to Vegas a couple times this football season, and I'm looking forward to going to that new Raiders Stadium, Go to a game out in Vegas. See what that vibe is like. First season with fans for the Raiders Stadium. So that's probably where I'll be using my Tick Pick services. And I'm sure they'll have me covered. So if you want to go to a game this year, visit tickpick.com/VM today and use the promo code VM to save $10 on your first order of NFL tickets. That is VM as the promo code to get $10 off your first order of NFL tickets. Let's talk about teams that are 2-0. Some good teams, Alan. We got the Broncos, the Raiders, the Panthers that are playing tonight prior to us recording, the Bucks, the Niners, the Rams, and the Cardinals. Of the 2-0 teams, which one are you least confident in?
Still, I would go Denver.
Yeah.
Just don't trust that offense, and losing Judy and Chubb for extended period of time could come back to haunt them.
Chubb again hurt, man.
Yeah, it's been a problem.
Can't
Get him and Miller on the same field. Like, and Von Miller looks like the Von Miller of old so far. Granted, he's gone against the Giants and Jaguars, but still.
Yo, did you watch that clip? It was do you watch like NFL Tonight or the show Inside the NFL? Do you see those?
I see clips.
But there was one clip where Von Miller goes up to Teddy Bridgewater during the Giants game. Mm-hmm. He's like, dude, I haven't felt like this since 18 was here. He's like, I love you, bro. Man. If I was Drew Lock, I'd probably start like looking to play elsewhere. Can't come back
I think he
from
probably
that,
knows. I think he already knows.
He can't come back from that.
But like, look, I think Bridgewater's the type of bridge quarterback you need just to keep things afloat. And I do like the fact that he's at least trying to throw the ball downfield. Like, he looks aggressive. Him and Cortland Sutton got a nice rapport right now. But it's just, I just see when the competition gets better, it's going to be a problem for them. I just don't know how they're going to move the ball that consistently. And I don't know, like, just like Denver, you know, they're well coached. You know, Fangio's going to give opposing teams problems. It's just, I don't know if you could always rely on scoring 17 to win in the NFL.
So, I don't want to say Denver. Man, there's something about San Francisco that I don't trust.
They're another one that, until Garoppolo's off, I think there's a cap there. Like, I think they're still a playoff team, but I think this whole notion that, they made it to the Super Bowl with them a few years ago, it's like, okay, that was a few years ago. The defense was a lot more talented then. They don't have the same personnel, defensively. Like, that secondary losing Verrett, like their corners are looking very suspect. Nick Bosa hasn't quite looked the same. I know D Ford's actually had a good start to the season, but the defense is not quite the same, and I think Garoppolo's regressing. You can't just use it, 2 years ago they did it. It's like it's 2021 now. So, yeah, I've been pretty underwhelmed by San Fran so far from what I've seen.
If you look at the teams that have gotten to 2-0 so far and who they've beaten, I think San Fran and the Broncos probably have the weakest strength of schedule. Like, Denver beat the Giants and the Jaguars. San Fran beat Detroit and Philly, who that game was so weird. And there was one question that I asked Will on the pod that I do with him, Upsets and Underdogs. Did Philly throw us off with that win over Atlanta? Do we look back at that week 1 win and like, Atlanta is 1-8 right now. Yeah. Like, how good of a win was that for Philly? And that happens sometimes, right? Mm-hmm. Like, things don't age well. Man, the Raiders, dude, they got some dope wins. They beat both the teams in the AFC North in games in which they were close to 5-point underdogs in both. I really like how the Raiders are looking. Derek Carr is now being overhyped. Like, they're talking about him. Oh, dude, like, his MVP odds have skyrocketed.
People are 2 weeks.
He's like the talk of the town right now.
He deserves it, though.
He does. And he leads the league in passing yards, and they've needed every single bit of those yards, too.
Like, he deserves the praise. I just talk about MVP after 2 weeks. It's like, what's the purpose?
Well, yeah, it just becomes content, right? So that's why people are doing it. I think the team that I'm the most impressed with that is 2-0 is probably Arizona. Because of how Kyler Murray. Now, again, this is all like I'm basing this off my expectations coming into the season. Like, I expected Tampa Bay to be 2-0 right now. I expected the Rams to be 2-0. I expected
That's it.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. Outside
Maybe
of that,
San Fran.
outside of that, Arizona, I did not see that, and they put up 72 points, so the offense is clicking. Kyler Murray is running wild. They're only behind the Tampa Bay Bucks in points for. I really like what Arizona is doing, and maybe Kyler Murray is playing at a level right now where we don't need to worry about Kingsbury doing some like fuckery like he's done, and he's cost them some games in the past. But I really like this Arizona team, man, and I wasn't really high on them coming in, though I did have all 4 teams from this division making the playoffs. I saw them as like a potential wild card team, as like their ceiling.
Yeah, that's what's going to come down to, how they're going to fare in the division. Until then, it's like wait and see, because that division, that's where the real challenges are. But no, they've definitely looked impressive. Chandler Jones, oh man, just getting him back.
Yeah.
He's just terrorizing everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't think J.J. Watt's helping too?
He's making a huge contribution.
He made some big
Yeah.
plays in that Titans game, just
Yeah.
like, occupying space and
Yeah, he's
being
always
a
going to command.
disruptor.
He's always going to command attention. I think Baker's one of the top safeties in the league. He's someone that is probably going to get more recognition as the season goes on. So they got players, and Isaiah Simmons starting to look more comfortable. It's just a matter of like what they're going to do in the division. I do still think Kyler puts his offensive line in harm's way too much. Like, I think he holds on the ball and gets a little reckless at times. But I guess kind of like him and Russell Wilson, just those two kind of quarterbacks where they're probably going to get their O lines in trouble more often than not.
Yeah. Do you think? What do you think of Carolina?
There's signs there. I was excited about them going into the season. I think defensively, obviously, I want to see them face better opposition. But wow, like their front seven's getting after people. Like, well, they're just the way they were just going after Jameis, just full on blitzes. Like some of the most exotic looks you'll see. They got after it, and you really have to admire that, because that was a big question going into the season. Darnold's still got to be tested, because I think they're the only team in the league that's had a lead they haven't been trailing yet.
Yeah.
So, which is pretty impressive. You have to feel encouraged about it. And then they haven't really needed McCaffrey to explode yet.
Yeah, McCaffrey, I think, scored a touchdown in the last game, but even so, he hasn't. He's been dominating the touches, but he hasn't had that like wild 180-yard game and been the focal point. Like, they're able to get Robbie Anderson involved, DJ Moore. I still like Terrence Marshall. And I was just really high. Look, you leave the Jets, you go to Carolina, you have all these offensive pieces around you. You're going to succeed unless you are completely shot. So that's why I was giving the benefit of the doubt to Sam Darnold, especially what you see how Zach Wilson looks now with the Jets. Might just be that you're the Jets, bro, and you're just always you're gonna be the issue, not the players.
Yeah. But I do like the fact I think Darnold needs to do more no-huddle. I noticed they play at a much faster pace. That's what Matt Rule and Joe Brady love to do. They just get their quarterback going. It's like, okay, even if we got to get the ball out quick, you have players like DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson. They know how to create separation. So I like how Carolina's obviously how they're playing. It's just a matter of I want to see how their defense continues to progress, because this offense will put up points. There's no doubt about that.
We got two 2-0 teams that we haven't really mentioned much, and it's the Bucks and the Rams. They're playing each other this week in Los Angeles. I expect there to be a lot of big names in the stands watching this game. Is it fair to say that this is the first big game Matthew Stafford has been in a very, very long time?
At least like 5 years, maybe.
I
can't remember last time when they made the playoffs, 2017. So
they made the playoffs that year where there was like that crazy pass interference no call on like Brandon Pettigrew against the Cowboys.
Yeah, that was 2014. But then they played Seattle. I want to say 2016 actually.
Yeah, you're right. They did play in Seattle.
Yeah, they lost in the first round.
Yeah, I mean,
that was it though.
No offense, Detroit. I feel like this might be a bigger game. This might be the biggest game he's ever played in his career.
Against Brady, too.
Against Brady, the defending champ, the team you got to go through in your conference to get to the Super Bowl. You were brought in to win a Super Bowl because they feel like this roster is so jacked up and loaded. LA doesn't believe in anything but stars. If you look across the board, the Lakers always traded draft picks to get in stars. They did it with Anthony Davis. They've done it with Shaq. They always do that. They trade Kareem when they brought Kareem, super throwback now. Like, that's their shit. They want stars. They're not going to wait for some young kid to become a star. They want to bring them in. You bring in Matthew Stafford. You have no – I think Sean McVay hasn't made a first-round pick as a Rams coach.
No, last one was Goff, and that was unofficial.
But then after that, it's like, we're going to trade it for Brandon Cooks. We're going to trade it for Jalen Ramsey. We're going to trade it for this guy. That's what they do because they want to bring in stars. Matthew Stafford was brought in to be the missing link to them winning a Super Bowl. Now you got Brady, who, shit, they should just name the MVP award after Tom Brady, the Super Bowl MVP award. Dude's been in so many. I think this is the biggest game Matthew Stafford's played in his career.
It's a fair take.
Because of the expectations, the opponent, all things coming in. How's he gonna fare in that?
When the stakes are so high, like this could easily be an NFC Championship preview.
Yeah, and we've seen Brady in these spots. For Brady, it's gonna be like, oh, it's just another Sunday. It's regular shit for me. But the other guy now, this ain't Detroit, bro. This is LA. This is the game of the week.
How are you gonna cope with that pressure? Because Tampa Bay's gonna bring it.
Yeah, no Pierre Paul. He's on the COVID list.
Their first round is showing a lot of promise. Joe something. He's from Penn State. They have someone they drafted in the first round. Blanking on his name, but he's flashed. Dude, Vita Vea might be my new favorite defensive player.
Bro, he is.
He's 350. He moves like he's 280. Like, he is a real freak of nature. And Sue looks inspired. Like, they got the big question though is in the secondary. I know Carlton Davis is banged up. Sean Murphy bunting. So, especially the way Cooper Kupp's playing, like, I don't think a receiver in the league has played at a higher level than Cooper Kupp right now. Like, Cooper Kupp's just getting open, everywhere. And I love the way McVay's moving around. Like, there was one touchdown against the Colts where they literally had him lined up as a halfback.
Oh yeah, and he came out the backfield.
Yeah. Well done. And the Rams got their weapons too. Like guys like Van Jefferson, Deshaun Jackson, they could break out. Like,
and I'm telling you that dude that they took in the second round, Atwell.
Yeah.
That kid's a problem too. He was brought in as like a Deshaun Jackson 2.0. Dude is like 5'9", 5'8".
He's light.
97 pounds. Like, he's small, but he's a burner too. And they want speed and they want to air it out. I think all of last season they had 2 50-yard touchdown plays, and they had 2 in the first game with Stafford, and one to Van Jefferson and one to Kupp. So they're trying to air it out. I think Stafford, he might have a monster game because the only way you can move the ball on them is throwing. You saw Dak move the ball on them. I mean, you didn't really see Matt Ryan move the ball on them. He had the 2 pick sixes to the same guy.
Well, those passes were deflected.
They were,
It wasn't really on him.
That's true.
They were driving the third quarter back to back. Like, no, you could get at Tampa Bay secondary. It's just a matter of you got that protection. You got to be ready for Bowles' blitzes because Bowles brings pressure from everywhere.
Yeah.
And he knows you can't let Stafford get comfortable, and you don't want McVay to get into a rhythm because the playbook's open now. Like, they are running play action nonstop. They trust Stafford as a drop back passer. It's not just they're not putting their quarterback in training wheels anymore like they have with Goff. Now they've just opened up everything.
Do you think the cluster injuries to running back is going to be a problem for the Rams? Henderson got banged up last week. Sony Michel got like 10 touches. Crazy.
You can't really run the ball in the Bucs.
Right. So you don't think it's going to play a role in this?
I do think losing Henderson. Henderson does have ability as a receiver. Like, he does break tackles. He's someone that could be used there. As we know, Sony Michel, there's no value he has no value as a pass catcher. So I just think at this point, teams kind of realize against the Bucs, like, you go try to run outside, maybe try to run some sweeps. Like, I wouldn't surprise me to see if Robert Woods got like 3 to 5 carries just to open things up.
He's been pretty quiet so far this year.
Yeah, he could get going.
I think he could get going, yeah.
Because it's just trying to run on Tampa Bay. Like, it's getting to a point where you're, like, wasting time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm really fascinated about this game. I wish they moved it to Sunday Night Football. That would have been dope. Because this game, I really think, and it was in the beginning of the year, my NFC title game. And this has a lot of home field advantage ramifications, too. Remember, only one team has the bye week now, top seed only, and you have home field there.
Tampa's such a favorite. There's such advantage when it comes to the
division. Yeah, because you still got those bar fights with Seattle, San Fran, and Arizona.
Like, Tampa could easily go 6-0 in that division.
Yeah,
without much concern. Well, they're already 1-0.
Yeah.
So it's just, I think that could be a thing to look forward if, come week 15, 16, they're battling for a number 1 seed.
Yeah. All right. Who do you got in this?
I'm going to go Tampa. I think the Rams defensively have looked a little, not suspect, but they've allowed a lot more yards than I thought. I wonder if the Brandon Staley effect is kind of, even though I love Raheem Morris, but losing Staley and then John Johnson and Troy Hill, like their secondary, they've been throwing on a little bit. I thought Wentz actually played a pretty good game minus the bonehead turnovers. So the way Brady's playing, even without Antonio Brown, who's likely out because of COVID, I still feel like guys like Tyler Johnson, Scotty Miller could fill in. Obviously not to the level of AB, but they could do their thing. And man, Gronk's looking as spry as ever. Like Gronk's just everywhere right now. So yeah, I think Tampa has more than enough weapons. It's just a matter of I guess. I think whoever is playing with the lead too, because we're gonna see if you have to abandon a running game and become one dimensional, like the pass rush is gonna open up, particularly with Tampa. Like Tampa, if they start blitzing with David and White, there's gonna be problems because they cover up so much ground so quickly. So I'm gonna go Tampa. I'm pretty confident that.
It's hard, man. It's hard. You're talking about they've won 9 straight games now. They've scored 30 in all of them. Doesn't matter where they play, Tampa Bay. Brady got them. It's like they've all adapted that Patriot way with Brady. Might even be the Brady way. Mm-hmm. Potentially no AB because of COVID also. Mm-hmm. And him and Brady have just been, perfect for each other. I want to take the Rams. I'm going to take the Rams. I think we're going to find out more about LA than we are of Tampa Bay in this spot here because we know what to expect of Tampa. But with the Rams, this is gut check time, man. If you want to be considered a Super Bowl favorite and a contender, you got to win a game like this. And you're at home. I do want to see if Aaron Donald can, show us that you're the best player in football. Because every time I see those lists that have him as the best player in football, I laugh.
Well, he is. Besides Mahomes.
I mean, dude, if you're like
he's the most dominant player in the past 5-6 years.
Yeah, I get that, but how many guys are going before him if you're starting a team?
Well, it depends how you're assessing the quarterback. Obviously, quarterback's the most important position, so it's a matter of what's your philosophy before going forward with it. No, I think obviously Mahomes is the number one player. Don't get me wrong, but let's not discount Donald. He's taken over games. He's wrecked games. And I think it's going to be a great matchup going against Tampa's. Tampa's got a nasty O-line. Ryan Jensen, this dude, after the whistle, just watch this center, Ryan Jensen. This guy might average 2 personal foul penalties a game. He is hilarious. And Ali Marpet's a stud as well. But that's another good matchup.
I'm going to go with the Rams.
Does this sound familiar? You've got one device that lets you catch the game live, another that lets you stream your favorite shows, you're watching sports highlights on your phone, and you've got your neighbor's best friend's login for the good stuff. Well, I want to tell you about a simple way to get all that entertainment you love without the hassle and a great way to finally get your TV together. It's called DirecTV Stream, and it brings you live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before so you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. That means no more juggling remotes and no need to buy another device ever again. And the best part? There's no annual contract. So get rid of the clutter and the confusion and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directtv.com. That's directtv.com. Compatible device required. Content varies by package.
So you got the Bucks, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty confident the Bucks.
All right, the next game I want to talk about is aforementioned Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs against the Chargers. Now, this game is fascinating because if we just look at the odds for this weekend, if the favorites win, you're looking at Denver and the Raiders at 3-0. One of these two teams that we're talking about now is going to fall to 1-2. This is a big game here. And I think two teams are coming in rather pissed off. Both of these teams should have won last week. One had a fumble late in the fourth quarter, CEH, who, by the way, CEH, done with that dude.
All right, that's your take.
Didn't like him. First of all, I liked him coming out, but the fantasy community really ruined.
Yeah, but who cares?
I know, bro, but when this dude was going
we're talking real football. Like fantasy football is fantasy football.
Yeah, but also how can you not be productive in that offense?
What do you have, like 14K? He was going against Baltimore. But I thought week 1 he looked good.
Man, I don't know. I got so soured on him because he was going like top 5 in fantasy last year, and people were talking about this guy being like the second coming. And it's like, dude, I just feel like a running back in that offense.
He's still got plenty of time.
All right, if you say so. I don't agree. I think he's a guy who it's like 3.3 yards per carry he's averaging. I just think a lot
against some tough defenses. Things could open up this week. I think the Chargers have looked very susceptible against the run.
Yeah, Tony Pollard killed them last week. Zeke did well too, but I mean, I do feel like Pollard's been the better back for a while now. He just looks way more explosive. But going back to this, you got a Chiefs team that fumbled late. You had a terrible Mahomes pick. I think it was his first pick ever in September that he threw. And then the Chargers, you had all those penalties. You had the 2 touchdowns called back. So these are 2 teams that I feel as if the Chargers could be 2-0 right now, and the Chiefs could potentially be 0-2. Mm-hmm. They had that big comeback against the Browns. What is your take on this game? And do you think it's as big as I'm making it out to be?
It's a tricky matchup because I think one of the craziest stats is that the Chiefs have allowed 7 rushing touchdowns already this season. Now, granted, they faced the 2 most prolific rushing attacks. Like when it comes to Cleveland, Baltimore, these are teams built on running the ball. They're gonna wreck you on the ground. But still, to allow 7 rushing touchdowns in 2 games is one of the craziest things. I don't know, Kansas City, it's like they're so reliant on Chris Jones when it comes to pressure. Like, you want to talk about bad trade. That Frank Clark trade just looks worse and worse like every game goes on. So I'm very concerned about Kansas City's defense, especially going up against offense. That I know they kind of stumbled last week, but still, like, the Chargers have all the makings of a really good offense. I think having Mike Williams in this, I think an X role there. I see a bunch of people talking about Mike Williams in this Joe Lombardi offense is really opening things up, and so far he looks very productive. And I think that's always been kind of the case of Mike Williams. If he stays on the field and he's utilized properly, he's going to be a problem. So yeah, I'm definitely expecting fireworks. It's just I think the pressure has to be on Kansas City, in particular that defense, because other than a few Lamar layups, like they pretty much have not shown much defensively. Like Lamar gave a couple of presents, but besides that, they haven't really done much.
So the Chiefs last year, this game was the Herbert debut by accident, right? Mm-hmm. This is the punctured lung.
Poor Tyrod.
Tyrod Taylor. Poor Tyrod, right? Bad luck for that dude. Yeah. Fucking, he got hurt now with the Texans. Yeah. And have you seen this trend of he gets hurt with the Browns, Baker comes in, wins Rookie of the Year. Gets hurt with the Chargers, Herbert comes in, wins Rookie of the Year.
Davis Mills, what will happen?
Davis Mills, what will happen? I believe he was like 250-1 to win Rookie of the Year. And now if he comes in and look, he might put up big numbers because they're just gonna be down the whole time.
Like the Blake Bortles special when he would put up like 322, even though you knew he had a terrible
Blake
game.
Bortles was like a top 8 fantasy quarterback that one, like 2016 before
all those stats are meaningless.
Yeah,
but their numbers.
He would just end up with like 31 points in fantasy. Yeah. Like, what the fuck? Where did this happen? Derwin James is a baller. He might be a top 5 defensive player in football.
I don't know what the rankings are top of my head, but he's got to be up there.
If you just think of
because he excels at like 3 different roles. Like he does so much for that defense.
Right. What he does for that defense and how versatile he is, I just think that he's a dude that is just he's a baller, man. And as long as he's healthy, there was a clip after the game against Washington where Brad Staley was like, "Hey, we know how good this guy is. We know what our record is with him in the lineup. He means a lot to our team, and if we want this movie to go the right way, we need him out there." And he gave a game ball to Derwin James. He's a baller. Keenan Allen's a baller. I think Austin Eckler might have a big game because the Chiefs are giving up like 7 yards per carry. I think Baltimore had like 200 yards rushing on them. And I know Baltimore is a premier run offense, but they were also down to your boy Freeman.
Hey, he was lying. And I like Tyson Williams. He's got burst.
Yo, listen, Baltimore is probably the head of the table when it comes to running backs don't matter.
Yeah.
Because Justin Forsett, Alex Collins, I mean, J.K. Dobbins was a top draft pick, but like Gus Edwards, like they just throw out anyone, and as long as Lamar is there, they can run their offense efficiently.
It's proven.
Are you worried about Kansas City at all?
Defensively, yeah. Offensively, no. Offense, I think they'll be fine. It's just Mahomes got a little reckless, and a defense coordinated by Don Martindale is always going to be prepared for most part. So I think Mahomes just got a little carried away. So, no, I think offensively they'll be in good shape. It's just defensively, they just got to keep teams somehow under 30 points. If they keep teams under 30 points, they're going to win. It's just that if you're going to allow more than 30 points, then things get a little dicey.
Yeah, shootouts.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to be on the right side of that. Yeah, they've given up 65 points. I believe that's Baltimore's given up more. Mm-hmm. Tennessee's given up more.
Oof,
and then
Tennessee, man.
Atlanta's given up
some
the
of that
most.
tackling. Well, obviously Atlanta. But damn, Tennessee, some of that tackling. Oh, my God.
Yeah, they're giving up a lot of points, man. They're giving up a lot of points. Also Detroit, too. Let's throw Detroit in there.
I do think after such a quiet game, you rarely see games where Tyreek Hill doesn't make an impact. I think this week Tyreek Hill, be on the lookout. He was very quiet against Baltimore. I don't know if they had the personnel. Although I'll give credit, baby Asante Samuel, he's had a very good start. He was locking up Cooper. I know Cooper got banged up, but for that game, you just saw no hesitation. He's ready to play.
Yo, FSU got some ballers, man. Derwin James, Asante Samuel Jr., Jalen Ramsey. They produced some DBs. Who do you got in this game?
Gotta go Chiefs.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah, I think they have too much offensively.
I want to pick the Chargers.
It's an Arrowhead too.
It is an Arrowhead, yeah. That's one of the home fields that actually matter. Yeah, the Chargers have been kind of disappointing on offense. I know they had a lot of drops. I know they had a lot of plays called back that were touchdowns. But still, I'm expecting greatness from this offense. And Justin Herbert and Lombardi coming over. Eckler has been fine, but I expected him to take the Kamara role. And I think this might be a big Austin Eckler game. I think Eckler is going to make a lot of people happy in fantasy.
Like 10, 11 passes.
Yeah, and if you look at the way to beat the Chiefs, it's to run the ball on them. So I'm gonna go with the Chargers though.
Okay.
I like both LA teams to go on to win.
Kansas City in last place. Before last week, Mahomes was never not in first place. Since he's been a starter, the team's always been in first place.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. I was so wild when I saw that graphic too, and his first loss in September. So they were always 3-4-0 going into October. So, yeah, that kind of makes sense. Okay, let's end the show talking a little UFC. Massive card. Mostly because our guy is back.
Stockton's finest.
Put
your middle fingers up.
The original gangster, the original Diaz brother. Mm-hmm. Dude, how about this? If you're into narratives and like storylines, 209 months since the Lawler fight with him.
Yeah, because that was 2004.
But just 209 Stockton,
the iron
to have it 209 months.
Yeah.
What do you make of him coming back after close to 6 years? Hasn't won a fight in 9 years.
Yeah, BJ Penn. That was a fun card. He beat the brakes off BJ Penn. He turned that into like a sparring match. You just boxing him up the whole time. It's obviously exciting. Nick Diaz, he's like the biggest enigma in MMA because you don't know what he's gonna do. You don't know what he's gonna say, but he's just as natural as it gets. Like when it comes to authenticity, you're gonna get when it comes to Nick Diaz. It's just a matter of what headspace is he in. And if we recorded this yesterday, I would have been a lot more excited. But after hearing a couple of interviews and just he doesn't seem all that enthused. I hope he's not coming back for the wrong reasons, but it just. I don't know. I don't know where his head's at. I don't think he looks that great physically, which is a little bit of a bummer. But I just think I'm excited to see Nick Diaz back because if I remember 2 years ago after Masvidal beat Nate Diaz, he did an interview a week later with Ariel, and he just looked hammered. He looked bad. He just like I know that Diaz brothers have a speech impediment. It's not about slurring words, but he just did not look good physically. So I'm glad that he's back on the right track because people say he was like partying a lot.
Yeah,
but. I don't know, like as excited I am, and he's gonna bring it. I don't know if you saw the interview with Brett Okamoto, but it was a bit concerning.
The one thing that's interesting about the Diaz brothers is all year round, all the time, they keep themselves in amazing shape. Mm-hmm. However, fighting shape is completely different. Also, this fight is also going to be fought at 185 as opposed to 170, and I don't know what to make of that. Do you think it's just two vets that are like, you know what? It's not necessary for us to cut down, or do you think there's something more to it?
No, Nick Diaz requested it. Ryan Lawler had no idea, really. He just told him. Ryan Lawler's like, okay. because I don't think he's that concerned about Nick Diaz when it comes to the wrestling, because Nick will clinch, but he's not really going to shoot for takedowns. Like, obviously Nick's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, but he's not going to go out there shooting double legs. And Robbie Lawler, very underrated wrestler. He trains with King Mo Lawal. Like, I know Kobe tossed him around a bit, but don't sleep on Robbie Lawler when it comes to takedown defense.
If you were wondering who the fans are excited to see, I was on. I love watching the countdown series that the UFC does in Embedded. Valentina Shevchenko versus Lauren Murphy. That countdown is 4 days ago. At the time we're recording this, 78,000 views. Volkanovski Ortega, 4 days ago, the main event for the belt, 214,000 views. Diaz versus Lawler 2, 1.7 million.
No surprise, dude. The Nick Diaz army, as Nate says.
It's a loyal cult-like following for the Diaz brothers. Yeah. If you're listening to this, I mean, at the time that VM started, he wasn't, he hadn't fought.
He was suspended.
Yeah, he was suspended. So,
third time he got caught with marijuana in his system. They gave him a 5-year suspension, which is quite possibly one of the most absurd things in all sports, period. And it got reduced to 18 months, thankfully. But just this was like the peak of like what are we doing when it comes to marijuana in sports, let alone MMA?
I have always said that I feel like I might be the perfect person to talk about this because I'm not a weed guy. I don't have a dog in the fight. I've never smoked weed. Not a thing. When I was growing up, if like my friend smoked weed or like some girl I thought was attractive smoked weed,